All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Carter Kent, and I'm the Western Region Sales Manager for BioWorks. And today we're going to be talking about biofungicides for root disease control. So, one of the factors in looking at biofungicides is why do we need to look at adopting them? There's several different reasons. Each grower has their own reasons, but market trends is one. Consumers are looking for it. Probably the number one reason that most growers are looking at biofungicides are for reduced resistance issues. And the second one would be restrictive REI issues. With your biofungicides, they're basically 0 to 4 hour REIs and same day harvest intervals. Part of the integrated health management program. So this is there's no silver bullets when you talk about biofungicides or anything in the biological spectrum. It takes good cultural practices, good plant nutrition, use of biofungicides, and the integration of conventional with biological. So compatibility will be a huge issue. And this is where getting to know your manufacturer rep as well as your distributor rep will be very beneficial for you as you try to look at your program and how to integrate these products into your portfolio. Excuse me. So starting to use biofungicides, product performance is affected by several different factors here. Selecting the right product for the right situation and disease is critical. Timing and method of application will be second, and then making sure you understand your repeat interval will be critical as far as keeping the spore content up in the soil to help reduce the pathogens that are there. Uh, they work best when they work best when applied preventatively. Disease pressures are low to moderate and used in the right compatible input. So, like I said earlier, you want to make sure that if you're looking like, for example, our product line is Root Shield Plus, you want to make sure if you got other conventional fungicides or the conventional chemistries that it's compatible with them. If you go to the BioWorks website, we have an extensive compatibility list of products that you can tank mix together with Root Shield or apply a day or before afterwards. And if it's not on there, you can contact our technical expert team and we will do a compatibility test for you. Uh, One of the first things in making any biological fungicide program effective is prevention. Sanitation is probably the biggest number one thing you can do to making any biological program effective in your operation. Uh, so sanitation and cultural practice are fundamental. Plant tissue, water analysis, accurate disease diagnosis. Uh, there's several products out there for sanitation. We sell, there's Purpose Plus is what BioWorks sells. There's Xeritol that's sold by BioSafe and JetAg, which is sold by Marone. These are all great tools to use for your surfaces, tools, blocks, cuttings, rooting benches. Limit access to propagation and avoid transfers in and out. Excuse me. Some of the products out there for biofungicides for root disease, there's trichoderma-based products. As I mentioned before, BioWorks has Root Shield Plus. There's also T34 from BioBest, which is a trichoderma strain Asperello. There's some Bacillus species out there. There's C, Stargus, and double nickel. And then there's some Streptomyces, which would be Actinovate and Mycostop. All of these different forms of biofungicides have basically four types of modes of action. They work by competitive exclusion, which just means they will outcompete the pathogen for space and nutrition around the root zone. They will also have antagonistic properties. They will create metabolites or enzymes that will effectively kill or inhibit the other microorganisms in the root zone. In some cases, they will parasitize. They will actually go out there and consume the pathogen that's trying to infect the plant. And you also get induced resistance. So the plants will actively trigger the fungicides will actively trigger the plant to turn on its immune defense system. One of the things I said earlier, talking about Root Shield Plus. So some of the modes of action As you can see here, G41, which is trichoderma strain G41, will work in the rhizosphere where T22 will colonize on the root zone. So there you get your competition and exclusion, your shielding, hunting out for pathogens, and so forth, as I mentioned earlier. So biofungicide for root disease, success begins in propagation. So drenching your root cubes, wedges, flats with a biofungicide. This is 5 to 10 days after sticking. In my experience, unless you're dealing with the woody ornamentals, but if you're dealing with, vegetative annuals, even perennials, you can be doing it almost right at the time of sticking. Uh, you can also, if the corporation makes a granule formulation of their biofungicide, you can incorporate it into your growing media. One of the other areas that's becoming increasingly popular is dipping. This is where incoming plant material from a young plant supplier, you create a 5-gallon tub of solution with the biofungicide, and you can also include an insecticide with it too. And you can dip the incoming plant material to get it very clean before it goes out into your prop house. Disease protection from the get-go is critical important. The more you can do up front, the more it's going to save you down the road. So trichoderma is as good as traditional chemistry. Obviously, we have more information on the Bioworks on Root Shield because of our selling it. But this was a trial that was done. I think it was done by Ann Chase, and it's control of Phytophthora on root rot and petunias. And in this particular case, Root Shield outperformed some other conventional chemistries for control of Phytophthora in petunia blooms. And I think it was Subdue Max was the other one that I went against. Practical considerations, so compatibility. This is a chart that we pulled off of our website. And so you can see, for example, the first brand up there, Cease, it's the Bacillus subtilis compatibility. It's not tank mix compatible, but you can apply it 1 day apart in the soil. Heritage, which is an oxystrobin, you can actually tank mix that with Root Shield Plus. And what I think is kind of unique about that application is that if you did have some infected plant material that you knew had signs of a pathogen, you could tank mix a synthetic chemistry with your biological. The synthetic would clean it up, and the biological would give you the longevity of protection. Microbial fungicide. So this is your bacillus strains. So the primary mode of actions with bacillus are antagonism. So they'll produce an antimicrobial metabolites. So anytime you take cease or stargus or double nickel and you put it into solution, as soon as you put it in solution, it creates a secondary compound called metabolites. And these will actually is what does the heavy lifting of the strain of bacillus. They will go out, the metabolites will physically go out there and disrupt the cell membrane of the pathogen in the soil or on the leaf surface to inhibit fungal growth, and also helps to induce plant resistance at the same time. And then you have your botanical plant activators. The one that I'm the most familiar with is Regalia. Regalia is an extract of the giant knotweed, and it activates the plant's defenses. So as soon as you put it on, the plant is starting to say, "Hey, something's down there. We need to gear up to protect ourselves." The plant will produce and accumulate specialized proteins and other compounds known to inhibit fungal diseases. It also will induce and I'm sorry I can't pronounce this, photolaxants and cell structure antioxidants, and which will inhibit plant pathogens as well. And some of the intrinsic benefits, these are other things that you get out of. You're hearing a lot of products, mycorrhizal products out there on the marketplace, and they all are very good. They're all fungal based as well, but you get a similar aspect out of your biological products as well too. So they will stimulate fine root hair development. They will aid in the uptake of nutrition from the soil. They will enhance the plant resistance to abiotic and biotic stresses and generally overall improve the crop productivity. So improved seed germination. This is a trial that was done by Ann Chase, uh, and she applied Pagic, Intrinsic, and Root Shield Plus on a crop of ranunculus seed. And there she'll list as far as the treatments. Pageant was applied at 4 ounces per 100, Subdue at 1 ounce per 100, and Root Shield at 8 ounces. And the highest germination growth with was Root Shield Plus, which got 74%. So it actually outperformed. So when I said earlier about some of your biologicals can outperform some of your traditional chemistries, here's an example in Ann Chase's trial. But notice the timing, right when she was seeding. And this is a picture, actually, this was taken in Mexico. The picture on the left did not have any fungicide put on it. The one on the right obviously had a root shield. And these are celery transplants that are going out into the field in Mexico. Improved rooting on woody ornamentals. This is a trial that was done by Ann as well on crepe myrtle. And the products were applied as a sprinch at sticking. She used Pageant, Medallion Subdue, Root Shield Plus, and then another product, an AEM1, or effective organism product, which I'm not sure. It must have been a test trial that she was working on. And at the conclusion, in this particular trial, actually Pageant did the best out of every one of them. But if you notice, Root Shield Plus was right there next to the Pageant. Basically, I don't think there's any statistical difference between the two. And here's just some pictures of biologicals. These are viburnum, so start clean and stay clean. The other work that Ann did was improve survival after transplant. So there's really two areas where Ann really has found that the use of biologicals work, and one is right at the time of seeding or sticking and at shift up. So those are two areas where the plant's under a lot of stress, and using a biological fungicide can be very effective to improve the crop's overall take and healthiness as you go to sell it. But in this particular application, um, the trial conditions were very successful. This was on what crop was it? I'm sorry. Oh, I've lost it. I'm sorry. Anyways, the best treatments so far in this one were Root Shield Plus and On Guard. On Guard is a plant biostimulant that BioWorks sells. It's a 500. It does have a kick of nitrogen in it, but basically it's all plant-based proteins, and the proteins are broken down into a peptide chain. They're all plant-based, so the plant can easily absorb it without having to expend any energy. Oops. And so the benefits of the biofungicides, biocontrol benefits stronger plant disease resistance, reduced need for fungicide soil drenches, compatible with other biological inputs, so BCA programs, so forth, whatever you're looking at to go. These are areas where biologicals can play a role in. The biostimulant benefits will accelerate seed germination and plant establishment, increase nutrient and water uptake, and you also have increased plant vigor and yield, increased plant tolerance to environmental stresses, drought, salinity, compaction, all the things that go on. These are areas where the biofungicides and biostimulants can play a big role in the crop you're producing. And so the bottom line is thank you.